Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat here, and today with my quick review of episode 2 of FLCL Grunge, which just aired moments ago on Toonami. A lot to really talk about this episode, and also an announcement that happened during this episode. So I'm going to go with that announcement now because it's fresh on my brain. Right during the middle of the commercial break, we got an announcement about FLCL Shoegaze. It will debut at midnight on September 30th. Now, pay attention to that date. Tonight is the night of September 16th. So that means that there's only one episode left of FLCL Grunge, presuming that they're not going to try to run both at the same time. And I guess in a way, it's going to be kind of fitting in a way. And I'll go into why in a moment. So things about episode I particularly liked. The general ambiance. It was one that I can't point out and be like, wow, this really ruined the momentum of the first one. And it was a slow burn. It was a real slow burn episode until we kind of got the reveal with the scene between Shinari and Orinoco at his apartment that this was all happening the exact same night as the first episode's Ola climax. So it's going to be that type of show. I think it's going to focus on all three of the main kids, so I expect episode 3 to be about Orinoco's day or week or whatever leading up until this moment. And I don't know how I feel about this general format. And then we kind of go to this whole thing about like, oh, and now all of a sudden it's back to the first episode, but it's now more from Shinari's angle rather than from Shinpachi from the first episode. And the kind of issue with that is you get that first thrill of, wow, this is all coming together. But at the same time, you get the whole, well, nothing's going to be surprising. You know what happens in the next 10 minutes. And that's the vibe I got from this episode. Like, again, the last 8 to 10 minutes of this episode was basically a recap of the last 8 to 10 minutes of episode 1, with maybe a couple added details towards the end, including maybe the worst animated hand I've seen in my life. But outside of this episode, the animation, I'm not going to say is growing on me as much as it doesn't seem as much as a flaw as it did last episode to me. There weren't that many like very physical gags in this episode compared to the first one. We only got one mention of the fist, and it was at the moment where we realized this was all happening the same night because he saw Haruko in her red dress. And then they kind of made a little joke about how there was no the continuity was poor because, oh, she's in the red dress here and she's in her standard outfit from the original show when she for like the last part of the episode. But in this episode, she's wearing the traditional Yakuza woman garb. And then they made a little joke like, oh, gotta make a quick dressing change, and made the joke like, oh, it's reversed it, and now magically we're skipping to her wearing that. Like, it's one of those things. I feel like part of me wants to say that was an intentional joke, and part of me feels like that was just an issue oversight that they made. Like, oh wait, but she's gonna be wearing this. We have to now put her in the cabaret club like very awkwardly. And part of I think I'm leaning towards that was intentionally a joke, but it's kind of a lazy joke to make. It'd be one thing if we show her more detail balancing both roles. And I think it could have been done well if they put more effort into it. And that goes into the show. We get the surprise reveal during the FLCL Shoegaze announcement that this is only a 3-episode long show. Next week is the finale, unless they're going to do some weird double run thing. And it's going to be, I guess, the final fight. Which, again, this is starting to scream the one issue we had really of Housing Complex C. Housing Complex C, a show generally pretty solid the first 3 episodes. The last episode was an absolute cluster, though, because they tried explaining so much in such a quick time. And I feel like that's what's going to happen here. It might be fully relying on you already knowing the original concept of medical mechanica, what it is, the whole iron the earth out stuff. And you get a reveal that they're intergalactic menace because you already have Shinari mention, oh, they're in this planet now too. Overall, though, this episode and this show right now, I think is fitting almost perfectly in that glove of a region between fully coolly progressive and alternative for me. Is it a bad show, like a particularly bad show? No. But is it like a solid anime? Also, no. It's kind of in this weird middling range where, honestly, a month or two from now, I might completely forget this ever existed. I might completely forget I ever made these videos. It's an alright show. And again, one episode left. That's next week. I didn't know I don't remember actually more thinking about ever hearing an announcement how long it's supposed to be. I just assumed 6 episodes because the previous 3 seasons of Fully Cooley were 6 episodes, but looks like we're getting 3. And honestly, we're probably getting 3 too of Fully Cooley Shoegaze, which looked alright. The animation looks exactly a lot like Fully Cooley Alternative. And it's going back to the whole, it's going to now 2 kids going through puberty, like in a relationship. Something I feel like could be done well And I'm honestly a bit more optimistic for Shoegaze than for a Fully Cooley Grunge. What do you guys think? If I had to rate this, I would give this like a 5.5 out of 10. A little better in the first episode, but at the same time, I wouldn't call this impressive. It's okay. It depends. It's really fully into whether you like the whole concept of everything's all happened on the same night. This whole series is on one night. It's kind of like, what if it was the Chimera Ant arc, like the period of the Chimera Ant arc that they had like 15 episodes over like a 10-minute period, but like instead of making it very clear that's how things are, you're supposed to be surprised by it, and they'll probably try to act like you're surprised next episode. I'm fully guessing it's gonna be on Orinoco, the girl we see a few times this episode, like her struggles with her father having issues and like making the sword for Shinari and implying that she also had a crush on him. If they end up doing some bullshit love triangle between Shinari, Shinpachi, and Orinoco, I'm gonna be pissed because they've played the dynamic between the characters, I thought, pretty well to this point. One of the stronger suits of it. But outside of that, it's an okay show. It's definitely not going to compete with the original. I still say it's a step below like a Fully Cooley alternative, but it's not as aggravating a watch nearly as Fully Cooley Progressive was. So I say it's a middling show. What do you guys think? Leave your comments, leave pins down below. I'm Super Orange Cat, and that is all.